All right, what's up, everyone? We're here with Ted Kubaitas, and Ted has this pretty awesome SEO software that we're going to be showcasing today that you guys can start using. And there's going to be a link at the bottom of this video at some point, probably hopefully after this, so that you guys can go check it out as well. And maybe they'll be able to get a discount or something too, Ted. I don't really know how that works, but I'm going to pretty much just hand it over to you, and you can do a screen share or whatever you want to do and show them a little bit about it.
Okay.
So I'll make you the presenter right now. And this is actually something that I've been talking about for a while on my channel. I've been telling everybody the conceptually what this is about, but I haven't been able to show them like what we're going to show them right now. So I'm pretty stoked about that.
Okay. Can you see my screen okay?
Yeah. So I got you as the presenter, and it looks like we're good to go.
Okay. So I'm presenting a software tool I created called Kora. Kora, in a nutshell, is a measurement tool. So the way it works is you enter your keywords, and it will go pull the top 100 results from Google. Then it'll visit each result in Google. And on those pages, it'll measure over 400 SEO factors, both on page and off page. What we can do with this data is we can see which of those factors correlates with rank position. And so it tells us which factors appear to move the needle for your search term. And we can see what your keyword competitors are doing. We could see what their competitive measures are and compare them to the measures of your website. That way, we can see exactly what factors you need to work on and how much tuning each factor needs.
That's awesome.
So one thing to keep in mind about this software is we often use the term matches. And what matches means in the software is any word that Google has singled out as a relevant hit in the search results. And in some web browsers, not all web browsers, you can see these words because Google will mark them up in bold. And here on the screen, I've also made them yellow so they're easier to see. So the software picks up all of these keyword variants that Google has deemed as a relevant hit for the search terms. In this case, the search was for plastic surgery Los Angeles, but it knew that plastic surgeon is an appropriate synonym. And probably an even better example than this one is if you were to search DUI attorney Los Angeles, that really gives you the biggest list of synonyms and singular and plural forms. But you can see on the left side here all the variants that Google said were relevant hits for the search term. And so whenever you see matches in my software, we're talking about this list of everything that Google thinks is a relevant hit. And now you're seeing something that probably looks like digital noise. This is actually the spreadsheet of measurement data, but I've zoomed way out to try to get most of it into the window. Each row of this spreadsheet is a different SEO factor. And all the columns where you see the yellow dots, those are the factor measurements for each result in the top 100 results. So we can see with each column what each results factor measurements are. And we can show and hide columns to, say, put your website right next to #1 on Google and see how they differ. The gray bar in the middle is the average measurements by page. And the orange up at the top, that's where things get special. The orange denotes which factors were statistically significant and had very strong correlation. And so those are the factors that really appeared to move the needle for our search term. So I'll zoom in a bit here so we can start to see that each row is a factor, and we can see our measurement data and the averages. And when we zoom in even more, we can actually read some of these. And you'll notice over here, can you see the mouse movement?
On the YouTube video, yeah, you can.
Okay, so over here you can see result 15. And let's just say hypothetically that you're number 15 for this keyword, and we have result 1 right here. I've hidden the columns to get them side by side. And then what I did was I went factor by factor, and all the ones we were deficient in, either against result 1 or the page 1 average, I made ours red to show that we were under. And so we might be ahead of result 1, but if we're significantly below the page 1 average, that's not good either. So in either of those cases, I would say, okay, we're deficient either against number 1 or against the average. And so I found all of these factors that result 15 is deficient in. And you can see in the orange, it's sorted by the best of both correlation. For the math geeks out there, we use both Spearman's correlation and Pearson's. And the reason you want to use two is Spearman's is better at correlating things that tend to trend in curves, and Pearson's is really good at things that tend to trend in straight lines. But from one factor to the next, we don't necessarily know if it's going to trend in a straight line or not. So we use both, and then we take the best of both, sort it by that, and now we know which ones correlated the strongest with rank position. And so for this example, the keyword matches in the body tag was the strongest factor on page. And the page one average had 398 matches
in the body tag or the P tag?
In the body tag.
Because that could be headers, that could be.
Yeah. So this is pretty much, all content keyword stuffing is this number one factor.
Okay. Is there certain elements that are going to weigh into it more?
Well, yeah, you could see below, right below it, P tags was the second strongest factor. Matches in the Ahrefs attributes. Then below that, source matches, so that includes the head tag too. And so if you include the head tag, we could see over here that there were 456 matches on average for a page one result, and number one had 1,200 matches on this page. So if you're this number 15 and you have 143, and you reasonably suspect that term frequency, TF-IDF, or something similar to it is being used by most search engines, which I do believe is the case, then you have a problem with your volume of content and your number of matches. You're not going to compete on your relevancy score with the search term because these people say it's so much more on page.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on the TF-IDF?
Yeah, TF-IDF, and you can look this up on Wikipedia if you just Google for TF-IDF. It's a formula that's been in use since document indexing has been an academic thing. So it's been around since the 70s or so. So this is old school, low level math for computer scientists. And TF stands for term frequency, and IDF is the inverse document frequency. And the ratio of those two things is used to determine relevance in search engines. And just about every search engine historically has used TF-IDF or something very, very similar to it.
So we got a comment. Somebody said, "Can I just use LSI graph instead?"
Well, that's a good question, but it's a different thing. So the LSI graph, it's going to look at related words. So if you're trying to rank for kitchens, LSI words might be blenders and spatulas and things like that. But those things don't necessarily give you relevance for the keyword kitchens in the sense that the TF-IDF algorithm, allows for. So what we found by measuring this, because one of the factors we also look at in the software is term frequency, and it very frequently correlates with rank position. So there's even evidence within the data that we're measuring that Google is using something very much like term frequency as part of its relevancy score. So when I see something like this where our hypothetical website in number 15 only has 143 matches on page, and number 1 on Google has 1,200 matches, and we have a statistically significant correlation coefficient, and it's one of the strongest things on the page, then we need to go look at our competitors and see what they're doing to get their match counts so high. Obviously, we don't want to spam keywords on our page and scare away the customers, but they're doing something to get their match count so high. They might have, keywords in the domain name. They're using absolute URLs. They have inline comments in the HTML source. So every time somebody, talks about kitchens, the page gets more match counts on the page. We have to go and investigate in these cases, find out how they get the match count so high, and see if we can incorporate similar strategies.
Okay.
If we go a little bit further down, we have the word count. So here's the word count on page. We can see that result 1 has 1,358 words on page, but our page only has 397 words. It's a big difference. They have a lot more content, a lot more long form content. The average on page 1 is almost 1,300. We're not even on close to the average. So there's a ton of factors that we're measuring. And so what I'd like to do, if it's okay with you, is we'd look at some of the graphs for some of the factors that I've seen recently.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I should point out that in the current version, we've integrated with Ahrefs. So if you have an Ahrefs account, you can authorize it through the software, and we'll collect all the off-page factors through Ahrefs.
Wow.
If you don't have an Ahrefs account, that's okay. It's optional. You can still measure well over 300 different on-page factors without using this feature.
So you can actually compare the on-page and the off-page with this tool together.
Yes.
Very cool.
And just to point out what the economics are like, I use the smallest plan they offer myself because I like to see what my end users experience. And if you get all of the data for every keyword you look at, you can only do about 20 terms a month. But I find I don't need to pull the expensive social signals every time. I only do that when it's a really important keyword. So I leave that unchecked. So you can see that there are checkboxes. So on that page rows, the page info where it's 2,000 API rows, per keyword you look up, you turn that off, and then all of a sudden it gets very economical because without that, then you can do 83 terms like that. And if you only care about the backlink data and the types of backlinks, then you can do 250 keywords a month with the minimum account. So that's the economics of that feature. So here we have the number of backlinks in Ahrefs, and we can see that there's a strong correlation with rank position. So no surprises. We all knew backlinks were important, but I find it really interesting just how fast it spikes up from page 2 to page 1. And you get a similar curve, but the magnitude is very different for EDU backlinks.
I was about to ask. I was like, why is this all EDUs?
Well, because people believe that EDU backlinks and .gov backlinks have special power. You know, and Ahrefs has it as a measurement since they're collecting that data. So I figured, okay, let's correlate it. And, you know, it has practically the same graph as backlinks. I'm inclined to think they work the same way that backlinks do.
Maybe more so in other industries.
Yeah, perhaps. You know, I believe Google has said on a number of occasions that there's nothing special about EDU links. They count the same as everything else. And the shape of this graph makes me think that that's probably true. You know, they look awfully similar. That's the difference in magnitude. EDU links are harder to get. So maybe it's a cultural phenomenon that they're so prized.
Right, but I'm saying like that's pointing to, you know, well, it looks like actually one of them's SEO software, one of them's cars.
Oh, yeah, some of them, but this one from backlinks to EDU links is SEO software.
Right. So I'm saying like if maybe the EDUs were pointing to like a lawyer's website or something about education might be more powerful.
Yeah, that's possible. And, you know, if you're taking measurements, you can go out and actually like, you know, do an analysis, do a study of that. So here I changed keywords. This is from cars. It's looking at the number of no-follow backlinks. And I should probably explain this chart really quickly. Right here on the x-axis on the bottom, we have the page number. So page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4. And on the y-axis, we have the factor measurement. And in the key, we have the definition of what the factor measurement is. And so we have the average measurement by page for no-follow backlinks. And so we can see as you go from page 9 closer to page 1 that it goes up. And that's why the correlation coefficient says this is strong, as we see that pattern. And if you ever hear somebody say that no-follow backlinks don't matter and they're worthless, well, here's strong correlation with ranking position that says no-follow backlinks, you know, they trend with rankings. You know, it could be debatable that they're not causal. It just might be that succeeding websites have, you know, a good mix of both. But I see them correlate strongly all the time. And so I'm inclined to think that, you know, they're passing some value. And I know a lot of other SEOs believe that no-follow links pass value too. I believe there's been a few studies to date where people have ranked sites with no-follow links.
I remember one time I was doing this local, I was trying to rank locally for SEO in the town I was in, and I got a no-follow link from Matt Cutt's domain. And I swear the next 2 or 3 days afterwards, my rankings shot up.
Yeah, exactly.
Even Google says like, hey, look, you know, you shouldn't be only going for, you know, follow links. Like no follow links will pass value too in a way.
Yeah, and the correlation strength, when you look at the correlation coefficients, they tend to correlate at about 90% of the regular do follow links.
Wow.
So, you know, there's definitely a trend there that they matter in terms of rankings. You know, there's strong evidence to support that they probably matter.
That doesn't mean we're promoting going and indexing or going on a bunch of indexing sites and getting no follow links, though. At least I'm not. Maybe you are, Ted.
Well, you know, yeah, you know, be careful. Don't get links from bad zones that'll get you in trouble. But also, you know, don't throw away a reputable link opportunity just because it's no follow.
Right.
So do follow backlinks. Same thing. The magnitude of backlinks is different, but they still correlate. Image backlinks, similar thing. So this is people linking back to your website's images, I believe. This one I thought was interesting. Has RSS backlinks. So, you know, there's some evidence that syndicating your content can have value.
That's a whole nother debate.
Yeah. And I've seen people who have been bitten by it, but at least the backlinks you get from it, they do appear to add some value. But, you know, duplicating your content might, you know, take away from that value. This one has AMP link tags in web page. So we're detecting whether or not the page implements AMP. So whether the page is AMP or it's linking to an AMP version. And there is correlation, but it's weak correlation. So, you know, I'd be inclined to say if it is a factor, it's very weak, or not enough people are using it to really make a determination.
Right.
Term frequency. So we talked about that before. Here's strong correlation for Seattle dentist and term frequency.
Yeah, that's huge.
And here's an implementation of TF-IDF. So I run that as a factor as well. Interestingly enough, for the keyword cars, TF-IDF did not correlate with ranking position. And what I see often is that term frequency will, and TF-IDF may or may not. And so I wonder if Google isn't running something that is TF-IDF like, but it isn't the academic version of the algorithm. We can look at factors like implementing a Twitter card on the web page. So here's weak correlation for Seattle dentist for having your Twitter card implemented. Exact search term matches and H1 tags. So this is a case.
I heard that went down, actually.
What's that?
I actually heard that went down.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to believe that. So using the exact term you're trying to rank for is an exact match, and your H1 tag here has no correlation with rank position. And what you'll see all the time, though, is that matches in your heading tags do correlate very strongly. It's just that exact match in an H1 isn't doing it. For this one, we're looking at domain matches in the web page title tag. This factor I made for answering a question in an online forum where the question was, does having your brand in your title tag help you rank? And I thought it was an interesting question because I had a lot of opinions on that, and I realized before I answered that I actually didn't have any data on that. So I made a couple factors to actually go and test it, and it actually surprised me quite a bit. So this is looking for finding the domain name listed in the title tag. And so we found strong correlation with rank position when you do that pattern.
And do you think this is because the keywords are in the actual name, or because this is just something where Google likes to see that you're listing your brand in your titles?
Well, I went and looked even further, and I found this pattern, and it seems to be the #1 pattern in web page titles, where it is keyword hyphen brand, or keyword pipe brand, or keyword some delimiter brand. And brand could either be the name of the website or the domain of the website. And we see this pattern over and over again, and it's a very strong title pattern for ranking in SEO. And in sorry?
I was going to say, now what if people are doing like click-through rate optimization and they're trying to add all their semantic variations in their title tags so they can get, a larger audience?
Yeah, in very competitive niches, we'll see that, like 15% of the time, but still 85% of the time, we'll see just this, keyword hyphen brand title pattern ranking on page 1, page 2. Here we have domain matches in the Google result link text. So this one, I wanted to find out whether or not Google was putting the domain into the title for you. So here we have domain matches in the title tag, and here's domain matches occurring in the link text of the Google result. And so if I flip back and forth, you can kind of see that Google is filling in some of these with data. So they're adding the brand or the domain name to the result, and thus we're seeing a lift in the graph.
Wait, break that down for me. I'm not understanding.
So this is Google rewriting your title to add brand to it.
Gotcha.
So we're seeing the effect of that. So here it is, where if you look at page 1 and page 3 average measures, there's a dip, because in the title tag itself, people didn't put brand in those cases. But then when we go to the Google result link text, we're finding the domain in it all of a sudden. So Google's filling in the brand, and we're seeing it correlate even stronger as a result.
Wow.
Domain phrase matches, let me explain what that is. If the domain is moz.com, the domain phrase is just Moz. So same thing, but not a full domain name. We're just looking for the domain phrase. And so we see here strong correlation for domain phrase in the title tag, and then Google result looking same thing, seeing if Google's adding it. So we see lift again.
So what if your domain name is like some crazy like 6-word name, and you want to put that in your title tag, but you're also trying to target like long tail, very specific queries?
Well, you want to be careful, because that can definitely affect the relevance of what searches you can appear for. I think there's still an argument for having your brand be something that is nondescript, or only using partial match or exact match in the case where you don't want to branch out into other keywords as far as you might otherwise consider. So I think having a brand like Moz is great, because it doesn't pollute your relevance for some other term.
But they also have a 3-letter domain.
Yeah. And we have domain length as a factor too. It correlates in the sense that from page 10 to page 1, the domains on average get shorter. but it doesn't really correlate strongly within page one is something that'll boost you higher. Reading grade level. Weak correlation. And I've done studies on the Flesch-Kincaid algorithms, and we do 2 of them as factors in the software. And they suffer from a flaw in design. Those algorithms are largely based on the number of syllables in words. So if a word has more syllables, it's considered a harder word. But if you take equal words like cherub and cartoon, there's a lot more, young people who will know what a cartoon is versus what a cherub is, even though they have the same number of syllables. And culturally, when you start to get outside of the United States, then it's like all bets are off with these algorithms. So I'm not surprised that there's weak correlation with the reading grade level and reading ease. And this is weak inverse correlation, which is what you'd want in reading ease. A lower score is better. So it's interesting that it correlated that way. It kind of says, okay, there might be something to it, but I'm really skeptical about it. This one, I really like seeing this one correlate strongly. And I see this factor correlate strongly all the time. This is the Ahrefs rank. This is the alternative to PageRank that Ahrefs offers, and it correlates strongly with rank position. This leads me to believe that Ahrefs has a critical mass of data in their data set that they can actually be predictive with rankings and ranking power. Obviously, when you get into more, long tail niches that are very low volume, it starts to fall apart. But anything with decent, volume and competition, usually ranks well. And this is a good indicator to make sure you have critical mass. If Ahrefs' version of PageRank isn't correlating for your keyword, then I'd be inclined to not trust their other metrics either for that keyword. But most of the time, it's very rarely I don't see it correlate with rank position. And I would absolutely love to integrate Moz and SEMrush and Majestic, and then we could actually compare these services and see how they differ and who correlates stronger. So it's one of my dreams to get the other vendors integrated as well.
What's holding you back from that?
They have a crazy model for their API integration. All of the other vendors copy each other, and they say, you have to get our most expensive service plan to integrate with us.
Wow.
And what they don't realize is they're shooting themselves in the foot by doing that, because what happens is, and it's happened like 10 times so far, people who are customers of my software say, I really want this off-page data, but I don't need both Moz and Ahrefs. So I'm going to switch. And they switch over to Ahrefs.
Right.
And meanwhile, Moz is telling me I can't integrate with them unless I'm willing to pay them, $5,000 a year or more for the privilege of keeping their customers from jumping ship.
Right, because it's more about the money than the actual sensible reason.
And I really love the policies that Ahrefs put forward with integrating with their service. They allow you to integrate with any level service plan, which is ideal for integrators. And if only, like Majestic or, somebody would just say, hey, let's do that too, I'd give them equal billing. I'd have them integrated within 2 weeks. but they want me to pay top dollar to keep their customers from jumping ship, and I can't really justify doing that or afford doing that. And so I hope they realize that, you know, they need to change those policies before they lose too much market share, because I don't want to hurt businesses by saying, you know, your users are going to switch to Ahrefs because I won't integrate with you. I don't like that at all. I want to integrate with Majestic. I have customers asking me to integrate with Majestic. So I very much want that to happen. More off page. So Twitter shares. No correlation. It kind of looks like there's correlation, but it's actually too random. It wasn't.
But this is measured by what, like 10 tweets?
Yeah. So it's just too random, not significant enough.
I'd like to see like 10,000.
Yeah. You know, so and it makes sense that these are low for the keyword. This was DUI lawyer Los Angeles. There's probably not a lot of social strategy going on there.
Right.
SEO tools is the keyword for this one. And
wait, Ted, so you're telling me that people are not looking for lawyers on Twitter locally?
No, I'm sure they are. But
no, I was joking. Yeah,
these lawyers aren't trying to appear in tweets.
Right. No, I was just messing with
you. So for this one, referring domains. So if you believe in backlinks, you have to believe in referring domains. They're two parts of the same wheel. Median or number of so the median share count from Ahrefs. So we're looking at how many shares they get. There's strong correlation. So apparently you do want some social integration, even with a long tail search like DUI lawyer Los Angeles. It appears to matter in aggregate, but not in Twitter. Number of likes from Facebook, no correlation. And if likes were a factor, I'd know about it. Through my clients, I have access to over 150 million Facebook likes, you know, a number of properties that add up to 150 million likes. And I've tried every possible way to leverage those likes for SEO advantage. They're not a factor. And the data supports that. I always see that likes don't correlate with ranking position. I wish they were.
I'm actually happy because honestly, like if you look at some of these people who are just buying like millions of likes right now, that would be a serious problem.
Yeah, but let me go and say that, you know, if you have real audience on Facebook, likes aren't worthless. Like if you can sell product on Facebook, if you can make a post and sell 10,000 units because you have 150 million fans, that's great. Social is very much a viable marketing channel. But in terms of Facebook likes specifically influencing organic search rankings, not a factor. Facebook share count, weak correlation. So a little bit of strength there.
I'm interested to see Google Plus.
Yeah, click count. Comments on Facebook had weak correlation. Pinterest shares.
Whoa.
There you go. So images matter. And,
no, but here's the thing, man. Like this is one of those industries, like gift baskets on Pinterest. Like that to me makes sense.
Yeah. It's niche dependent, and many factors are. So that's all I had in those slides. I can show other slides if we have time left. It's up to you.
Definitely.
Okay, let me find another slide deck.
Somebody asked Adam, one of the people in the audience, they want to know if you actually talked about the what was it? The oh god, I lost it. What did he ask? He said, "Oh man, that funny thing you mentioned, and you were comparing school to something else."
Oh, I don't recall.
Maybe Adam will remember.
So here I'm looking at factors for a niche in 4 different locations side by side.
It was cherubs. He wanted to know if you talked about that on the Black Hat podcast before.
You know, I probably did mention it once. It's my go-to example for explaining why Flesh Kincaid is flawed. What's interesting here, so we're looking at do follow backlinks, and yes, we all know that backlinks matter, but we're looking for the keyword Atlanta plumber, Seattle plumber, Austin plumber, and San Diego plumber. They all correlated strongly. They were all statistically significant, but the degree of tuning for the number of backlinks you needed is so very different. You needed almost 6,000 backlinks in San Diego. You needed 1,500 in Atlanta. You needed 5,000 in Seattle. Oh, 1 second. Sorry. Had somebody walk in. You need almost 300 for Austin. So the difference between 300 backlinks and 6,000 backlinks is a phenomenal amount of work. So if you're not measuring your competitors in your niche, then you have no idea how much link building you need to do. You might do nowhere near enough. If you're in Austin and you did link building for 6,000 links, you're investing way too much. So, I mean, this is a prime example of why you need to measure your competitors in your SEO strategy if you want to get to the rankings you're after, but at the minimal cost of time, effort, and money.
Right.
No follow backlinks. So we see they still correlate, but again, the degree of tuning. One second.
I don't know what just happened, guys. Ted just.
Sorry, the troubles of having a daughter, and she wants to play. So I have to finish up here in about 5 minutes. If that's okay.
We do have one question. They want to know if your software shows location-specific data.
What do you mean by location-specific data?
I think they're asking if you can measure probably local or snack pack results, sort of thing.
No, it does not do the local block. It is only the organic web results.
Okay.
But you can change data centers. So if you want to use Google UK or Google Australia, that's fine. And you can search in Unicode languages. So if you want to search in Japanese on Google Japan, that's fine. The one caveat to that is that the output files, the spreadsheets of data, are all still in English, but there's nothing stopping you from searching in Japanese for Japanese keywords.
Gotcha.
So we'll go through a couple more of these. So keyword matches in the HTML source. This is your keyword stuffing. In San Diego, it was not a statistically significant correlation. So it was a weak correlation at best. But it was a strong correlation in the other 3 markets. And what's interesting here is the keyword stuffing all kind of dialed into the same amount. They all approached around 400. So it looks like plumbers everywhere kind of stuff to the same degree. There may be an opportunity hidden there. Word count. This is another case where they kind of all tuned to the same degree. They're all dialed into around 1,500 words per page. But the word count didn't correlate in two markets. So in the larger markets, it didn't correlate.
Wow.
Matches in H1 tags, again, in two markets, it didn't correlate. In two markets, it did. But again, what's also interesting here is they all dial in to about 2, 1.5 to 2. So people are tuning the same just about everywhere. Facebook likes did not correlate in 3 of the 4 markets. So I'm not surprised by that. And, a blind squirrel has to find a nut eventually. So
has to find a cherub.
Yep. So they're in Seattle. Google +1s didn't correlate into the 2 smaller markets. But what's interesting here, if you look at that graph for Seattle for Facebook likes and Seattle for +1s, well, it looks like Seattle has a social game going on in its strategy. So maybe that's an opportunity in these other 3 markets to consider. Maybe there's something there worth targeting. Or maybe Seattle's just really into social. Referring domains, again, if you believe in backlinks, you got to believe in referring domains, correlated very strongly in all 4 markets. Matches in the meta description correlated strongly in 3 of the 4 markets. And it looks like they are all in the ballpark 3 to 5. So that's all the slides I have for. So I hope that captivated your curiosity in measuring factors of your competitors for your keywords.
Right on. Well, yeah, we had Sahel, one of our people in the audience, ask if there's a free trial or what they can do to sign up.
Well, there is not a free trial. It's a $250 a month subscription, but we're going to create a link with a 25% discount for Chase's viewers, and that'll hopefully be up in the notes in about 15 minutes or so.
Nice. And maybe we could in the near future get you on again too, and if they have any questions with that, we can answer those.
Yep. And the software is cancel anytime. We have lots of users that say, well, I have a small business, I just want to use it for a month to get my keywords, and that's perfectly fine. Right.
And I'm going to be, and just to let you guys know too, I'm going to be showcasing this as well, so you guys can kind of see how it works. And then, if you feel more comfortable after seeing a little bit more of it too, that's totally fine. But this is definitely something that I've been talking about for a while, Ted. This is a very cool software that I honestly see, tons and tons of potential, and also looks like there's also a lot of room for expansion as well. Hopefully in the near future, maybe get those different APIs integrated as well.
Yeah, and I can already tell you in the next week or so, there's going to be another version update, and the main feature that's going to be added in that version update is LSI keywords, and nice. It will correlate all of the LSI keywords with rank position, so it'll show you which LSI keywords appear to influence rankings the most.
Sweet. Cool. Well, everybody, thanks for joining. Ted, thanks for joining. I'm going to, like we said, we're going to put a link in the description if you guys want to check it out with a discount for you guys. And that's pretty much it.
Great. Thank you so much.